ReactJS native web development. So once again, I welcome you all, and I am hand over this session to Madhu Vaddamavi sir. Please welcome you, sir.
Hi everyone. Very good morning. Just a small correction. Actually, I work as a senior technical manager for Dundigal. So no worries, that's still fine. Senior technical manager for Microsoft, and I'm happy to be there here for multiple things. So today, I'm pretty much okay with all the three languages. I strongly feel that any kind of a training should be taught in any kind of a language. So, if you don't say it, just ask me in Hindi, Telugu, English. Or else if you are a Canadian guy, I have a translator right away. So don't worry about it. So this will be mostly interactive session, and I would be talking to you. I understand that there's a kind of a syllabus and pattern which is there. We'll cover everything. And if I can have your email address, I'll forward this. Oh. I'll send you an email to your email address.
That side also, Munda sir. This side also.
Shall we start? Actually, before starting that, let me have a quick intro of where exactly you are right now. Okay, can we start with? Yeah, ma'am, please. Just to understand your names at least.
I'm EC department, not CS department.
Okay.
I don't have any knowledge on this. Just I came to listen your session.
Thank you so much. All I can say is, yeah.
This is Dr. Dundigal. I already learned ReactJS.
Okay.
So I want to introduction about React and Redux API only.
Okay.
This is Aeronautical from the Department of Cyber Security. I'm Rasmita from CSC department.
I'm Nishita sir from CSC department.
Deepika from CSC.
We are actually new session in all of this month.
Okay.
First session.
First session. Okay. Still fine.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah.
This is Ashwini. Actually, I know basics of ReactJS, how to create components, class components, function components, and how to create hooks.
And you can come and join with me actually.
Basics I know.
No, I don't say that. I don't want to take that I'm 100% as expertise over here. I'm happy to learn from anyone.
I'm not that much perfect, but I know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Kaliyasi, assistant professor from CSC AML.
Okay.
I also know React.
Thanks.
Anuradha from IT department.
Okay.
Hi, I am Priyanka from CSC Data Science department.
Data science.
My name is Veeram sir. I am from Data Science department.
Okay.
Yeah, sir. From CSC department.
Good morning, sir. I am K. Sangeeta from CSC department.
Excellent. So one of my biggest weaknesses is that whenever I see analytics or data science, my ears goes in such a way that if someone is calling me from far behind, akkadi నుంచి ఎవరు పిలుస్తున్నా సరే out of 1 lakh people లో అయినా సరే analytics అనేది నాకు వినిపిస్తుంది what next అని. So that's the kind of a subject which I loved it actually. So to give a brief of very simple note of me, I'm a kind of a person who loves something called as data. If you ask me who I am a perfect data person. Data in terms of the real life, data in terms of my office implementation, data in terms of the real-time implications, data in terms of my tour planning as well. I mean, I have my wife and she has all the very bad good proofs in terms of our tour plannings and all. So there was a point where we have been to Delhi and I was asking that, touch one of the finger and we will go to one of those places. What are you talking about? I am pretty much confident that all the 3 places has that train facility and all the 3 places has their berth confirmed. So which means that I already collected the data before giving the options. So we talk about ReactJS, we talk about blockchain, we talk about all other technologies AI and all, right? It's all been centric and these are not valid if there is no data. We talk about a big data system. The big data system itself works when there is a huge data, right? So for example, what is a big data system in your opinion? I believe you have been a fundamentals somewhere. A minimum Hadoop system just needs 1 petabyte of memory. But our brain carries 2.5 petabytes of memory. I am not saying some generic facts. You can search in Google that what is the capacity of your brain. It's a 2.5 petabytes of memory. Now, how can this 2.5 petabytes of memory can be utilized? For a generation from 20 to 60, it is mostly like a transaction memory where you will be thinking a lot. And there is a fixed memory after 60 because you don't have a lot of dependencies where your memory and your hard disk and your everything will be playing in your brain starts relaxing. Now, why I am talking all these things before we start something called as ReactJS. Now today in the ReactJS you might have some syllabus or you might have some platform where I have to teach. But yes, we will be going to that particular point, but before I like to say why the ReactJS is needed in reality, because I see different people coming from ECM and from different people. I don't want this session to a session powered by women technically in this day. Not from the woman. Of course my wife is also there, she was pretty new to ReactJS as well. So I don't want this session to be a rocket science session. The reason why we use rocket science because we don't understand what exactly is there in rocket science, except for those scientists. Now to begin with, what is your expectation from this session? It can be a raw session, it can be anything. Let's be interactive. Let's be more interactive. What is your expectation from this session?
Practically able to do all the applications.
Okay. I'll give the kind of links and everything. Yes. All the support things. Yes. Anything. Just try to speak. I'm not here to question it, but I like to interact.
Building confidence, we are able to create some mobile applications.
Sure. Anything?
Especially on chat application.
Okay. Sure. What else? Okay. To conclude one particular point, my dear friends, first thing is that any kind of a subject, the first thing is that we need to understand the root holes of the subject, right? That's more important. So if you ask me what is the root hole of this ReactJS, why this JS platform? What is the JS platform? JavaScript, right? Why JavaScript? Why do we need a Why do we need a scripting language when there is programming language? I like to understand, I understand that we have some targets, we have something where we like to hear about it. There is everything in the presentation. The presentation will be emailed, of course, officially emailed right to you. But yes, let's talk something that to understand the ground level of the ReactJS. Why the JS platform? Why it is called the JS platform? Let's have a discussion on this. Can we? What is the JS platform in reality? Okay. There is a programming language. It's a scripting language, right? Programming language and a scripting language. What is the difference between programming language and a scripting language?
Scripting language is used by the interpreters.
Okay.
Programming language is used by the compilers. What is the main difference?
In reality, where this applies?
In reality, for a web purpose, always using for the scripting language.
Okay.
And then for application purpose, you are using compilers.
Compilers. Okay. Imagine that there is a ReactJS, AngularJS, and Node.js. Imagine that there is Java programming, Python programming, C, C++ programming.
Yes.
Now, if I have to compare one application over here, right?
Sir, you can use this.
So you can carry any board, sir.
So you can write on
With the
finger.
with finger also you can write.
First of all, where did you purchase it, sir? I wanted it in my home. Seriously.
See, this is pen, and this is a red.
Okay. Now, let's start something like this. Scripting language and programming language. Now, we have AngularJS, ReactJS, and Node.js. And we have Java, Python, and C, C++, Scala, etc. etc. Now, tell me where can we apply any kind of this programming languages?
Java, it can be applicable in application.
In?
Applications.
Okay, what kind of an application, for example? For example, your Gmail, if I have to create something like a mailing platform, which one would you like to prefer? Hey, this is a casual session actually, you can stop the recording.
Live participants also we have, sir.
Live participants are there? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hi to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I really forgot it. Okay, which platform would you like to choose? Imagine that you have to create something like a Gmail platform. Which platform will you like to choose? Java? Python? Something like that? Then, which platform will this be applied? If you want to discuss, you can discuss with me as well. It's not mandated that I'll be saying the 100% is 100. You need not score me 100 by 100 at all.
Sir, you can only explain.
I can only explain.
That's
That's fine. That's fine. No, see, I'm not here to question or judge you. In fact, the question is also for me. Where do we apply for it?
For front-end development purpose, using ReactJS.
Can I say for a chat platforms, can I use this JS platforms? Building a chatbot,
Java is ReactJS also.
ReactJS. So JS platform, a scripting platform
Yes,
can be
it's a
used over here,
scripting.
right? So here we have one application, here we have one application, right?
Yes.
Now the purpose of these applications is not just to
Delete sir, last.
Delete last one.
the purpose of these applications is not just to build application, but to serve the end customer needs. For example, if you are building a chatbot, right? What is a bot? These are important, my friends. I'm not here to divert any kind of a topic at all. Yes, there is a presentation. If you have laptops, we can do a step-by-step presentation as well. That is applicable. Now, what is a chatbot? What is a chatbot?
Some standard questions can be answered automatically by the system.
So, which means that if I like to check my balance, do I need a chatbot?
No.
Then what is the chatbot helpful?
If you develop any application, some frequently asked questions will become by the so many of the users.
Okay.
So for those questions, rather than keep on answering to each and every customer, we can develop those answers in a chatbot and given automatically by the application. So that is actually, it will minimize the time.
It will minimize the time. For example, you need not call to one-to-one or your customer care, because whenever you call to the Geo customer care and all, the first dialogue these days you are seeing is that we have the web application installed and kindly interact with it, right? Now, what does the chatbot cannot do? Where does the chatbot really stops?
Whenever the question is particular to the individual.
A specific issue, the chatbot cannot be answered. Why the specific issues are not being answered by the chatbots? Now the question rises up. Are we not creating an intelligent chatbots, or are we creating the chatbots, or why are you not thinking about the cognitive chatbots? Something called as, we have also heard called as AI-based chatbot, right? AI-based chatbot application. So cognitive AI. See, the purpose of the chatbot is not just to build an application. The chatbot has been arranged, say, 5 years, 6 years before itself. Recently, in the corona times and all, we have been using it aggressively because of the purpose. But why are we using? Why do we need a chatbot still? The era of the chatbot is yet has become an oldest era. But there is something beyond it. What is the beyond it? Now, I don't need a chatbot if that just answers where is my train, what is my balance. I have my phone pay. It's an automatic application. Why do I need to interact with the chatbot? I would like to create a chatbot that is actually applicable for my customized needs, where, as you said, the rarest of the rarest question should only go to the human. Now, one, to reduce the time, two, to increase the accuracy, and three, you are using the technology for a purpose, not only to save time and increase the accuracy, to give the right information all the time. Now, what is one complex issue in your life where the chatbot has given a solution? At least semi-complex issue, which you have faced. We use a lot of mobile, right? How many, I believe at least in every mobile, there is at least 3 or 4 chatbots already been installed. In one or other application, either called Jio or Airtel or any other application. The complexity comes only where there is a high level of individual interaction has to be there. That's the peak level. Now, for all these applications, a continuous transformation is being needed. An application should be in such a way that it should be changed all the time on a concurrent basis, on a random basis. For that, we are using the scripting languages, and one of those platforms is the ReactJS platform. Can we go to the slide section?
Sir, board
Delete button. Slides కావాలా?
No, slides. Oh, okay. Actually, మీ సెషన్ బోర్డు బాగా నచ్చింది ఫస్ట్. సీరియస్లీ నాకు ఇది అలాగే మా వైఫ్ అన్నది నాకు ఎనీ కాస్ట్ ఆఫ్ పర్చేస్ పర్లేదు ఈఎంఐ పెడతాం. Sorry, but I am a very good person in terms of I love big. Yeah, anyways. So before we started, there is something called as, I always talk about data before anything. The reason why I am talking about data before anything is that, for example, you don't need a chatbot to serve only 2 customers. You need a huge data for it. You don't need a website if one person is visiting, because the other person is you. There will be only one visitor and one developer. So we are already developing any kind of an applications to serve the end user customer space. Laptop. Already it ఉంది.
This my pen discussion. I can pen to connect.
Yeah. I believe I understand that most of the people knows this, but still for the some people who are pretty much new.
So you can write also in that PPT.
Oh, okay.
Don't you have to know?
Okay, cool. And to go to the next slide, this one. I don't know.
No. This is not connected with the HDMI.
Oh.
So if you open in directly in this means we will get that.
So this is also a problem statement. You need to kind of build an application which has to be incorporated.
This is like systems. Yeah. If you open your that in mail, we'll get like option.
No, just saying. So what is the ReactJS platform? ReactJS is free open source front-end JavaScript library for building user interfaces based on UI components. It is created by Facebook. Right? This is the basic journey. Let's not discuss more about it. And again, it's more. Yeah. Sorry.
I have to.
Yeah, please. No, this. Hope my session is not boring for sure.
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you so
I
much.
actually know your institute also.
Oh, okay. Thanks for making me popular. My pleasure. Thank you. So how to use the ReactJS application again? We'll talk about it. Let's talk about this particular slide. Now, these are the applications. These are the advantages. Now let's talk about the disadvantages. These are the application advantages because there is a speed. There is a flexibility, the performance, usability, reusability components. We can build any kind of a very good REST interfaces, and you can write in any kind of components. And for example, if there is a kind of a deployment which has to be delivered tomorrow, you can make it today and you can deliver it. Now, what is the problem with the ReactJS? What are the disadvantages? Everyone talks about a lot of advantages, but let's talk about the disadvantages as well. Every tool in the world has its own disadvantages. Huh? It's expensive.
Expensive.
Okay. And no, I have this slide, but still, as I said, what are the disadvantages? Some disadvantages which you have to resist. Is documentation is pretty much clear. So all the documentation and everything. I see one of those disadvantages which have been noted by a lot of users is that documentation was a challenge. This is a noted note, but still, it says that the high-pace development has an advantage and disadvantage both. The case of disadvantage since environment continuously changes so fast, so that the developers are not feeling comfortable to relearn the new ways of doing things fast. Agree? For example, ఇవాళ రేపు changes వస్తే the mindset should be is more or less like a developer hacker mindset లో ఉంటుంది. So developing is not just developing an application. You need to have a kind of a mind which has to be transformed on each and every type basis, on a single basis. It may be hard. It may be hard to adopt these changes with the continuous updates because the application we are trying to build itself is an adaptability changes applications. We are not building a classroom. For example, this is a classroom, which is a static classroom, right? Yes. This cannot be changed. For example, if I had to change, then I have to change entire. For example, one seat over here causes a structural damage. Structural damage is nothing. Is not that you have damaged the walls or other things. The look and feel of this particular classroom will be collapsed. For example, if you ask me how many chairs are there in this classroom, after seeing this, I would have a rough idea that x to y. Either x can be an estimated value, expected value to the estimated value. Now, here, imagine that I would like to bring some sort of changes because of my thought process or something. And couple of changes in this value will actually prove my original values as wrong. Because the things which I see over here is not there in the reality. That's the reason it's not so easy to adopt the changes. There is no one developer, right? You have to work with multiple developers in an environment. There is no one person who has to develop. For example, in a project, on a minimum of worst case of minimum 4 people to 40 people, even more than that. For example, to build an AI chatbot or other chatbots, it's never a one-man duty. A chatbot itself takes a lot of time to understand that what exactly is that. It's more or less again having your own person in your home. So for example, you have to travel with the chatbot should understand that what exactly the user's intention is. You have to push up a lot of queries. Imagine that you haven't been queried at all in a banking system or in a traveling system or anything. Then the purpose of chatbot is just a namesake application. And we are not here to build any kind of a namesake applications. For documentation can be modified, I would say that. It all depends on how you portray it. Because there are a lot of other icons and other things which have already been there in the ReactJS. And that's been a kind of not so easy at all. And ReactJS covers only the UI layers of the app and nothing else. So you still need to choose some other technologies to get completely tool and development of the project. I would say that this is not a disadvantage. I would say that this is a common feature for everything. For example, you implement the cloud, implement the data science, right? In a data science project, you have an analyst to developer, data visualization expert to the programmer, everyone you have. In fact, any kind of an field, call it civil, call it mechanical, call it electrical, any kind of an field, the subject matter experts are only the one, but the overall concept involves a lot of people, right? So this is, I would say that this is the most common problem with all the technologies which are in there. Now this is the real comparison for Angular and React. Let's understand. For example, if you have a complete idea, let's talk about it. Can we see it? Can someone speak of this? What exactly is this? Let's take a couple of minutes of time. Are all the people who are working in React are also being worked in Angular? No, but still you can compare, right? Let's talk about this. I'm halting my mic for next 2 minutes. Just try to see this image. You like to have your internal discussion, please go ahead. As I said, let's for all the people, if there is an online, if there is a chat window, you can post some kind of questions which you have.
ReactJS cannot follow the MVC, I think.
Sorry?
ReactJS follow the MVC architecture.
Yes, it is.
First point.
Okay.
ReactJS architecture is like MVC, but it actually follows the Flex, right?
Okay. See, people have different comparisons, but still, see, as I said,
It follows the MVC. It is a little bit different.
little bit. I agree. This is the second. Okay, let's go line by line. Okay, I promise for 2 minutes. Let's wait for 2 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So, what we do after 2 minutes is that let's take a kind of a poll-based understanding whether you accept that comment or not. Okay, this is not designed by Madhu Vartamane, this is designed by IntelliPath. Making it clear. Pakka copycat. See, there is no subject where anyone has to create it, right? So there are some very good examples where I have written my own, but I found that this example, I'm not here to showcase that I have copyrights on this. So let's go poll by poll. Just 1 minute, we'll take 1 minute and you can have your own understanding as well. We have 10 points and we'll discuss about 10 points, and then there are a couple of links which have been there where the document was well scripted to implement one single chatbot. Maybe if you have got your laptops, you can implement it right away. But still the links has its own information.
Period timing.
So,
Period timings.
oh, period time. Okay.
11:10 to 12, 12 to 12:50 like that.
Oh, okay. So we are going to the next period. Huh? Okay. (11:15), 11:16. Yes, we will start. Okay, let's not waste much more time out here. Now, let's go line by line. Ma'am, for all the people who are coming new to this session, don't worry about these things. We'll make it grounded, and these are the grounded terms. Let's talk about this. Will you agree to the point number 1? Agree, semi-agree? Yes, no? Something like that. Any kind of an answer. So it partially follows the MVC architecture, but it doesn't follow the complete MVC architecture. Is it okay? Okay, we'll say that partially. Okay. AngularJS is written in Microsoft TypeScript language. Agree? And this is a JavaScript language.
Yes, I agree.
ReactJS is not compatible. No? Do you agree? AngularJS is compatible with any platform. ReactJS is not compatible with any platform. No. Is this comment yes or no?
No. So both are JavaScript.
Both are compatible.
Both are JavaScript. Okay.
Now, the latest version, okay, let's not talk about latest version because the change is all the time.
Angular 14 it is.
Angular. Angular supports the bidirectional two-way binding, and ReactJS only supports the one-way data binding.
Supports both ini and bi. Supports
Okay. So which means that the comment is true.
That one is both ini and bidirectional. This is only unidirectional.
Yeah. The framework is used in mobile apps and single-page applications. The React framework is used in web applications, hybrid apps, and native applications. True. Adding JavaScript library to the source code in Angular is not possible, and React, of course, it is dealing with the JavaScript.
Here also we can use in TypeScript. We can use JavaScript in Angular also.
Okay. So the partially this comment was sorry. Sorry. This comment was partially true. Partially true. Now, the AngularJS documentation is slower and ReactJS documentation is faster. In terms of running the script, I mean to say, the refresh mechanism and other things. This can be applied if you have built any kind of a typical chatbot. So, for example, let me take a real life example. Leave it about ReactJS for a while. I used to work for a company where the client is more into banking system, and the banking system has the global explosion. I don't want to reveal it, though I came out of that particular company, but still. So it's one of the top payment system, and one of our tasks is that to validate this particular banking system. So validate the currencies each and every time. Every time whenever the credit or other things which have been done in the transaction, right, we used to indulge a lot of SQL code. Yeah, very big SQL codes. I would say that it would go on a vital basis. Now, why are you running a SQL code to validate is that to ensure that the transactions and everything are been really perfect. So we used to take this platforms via build-up via Hadoop and then go into other platforms because the data was pretty much big. Our target is to ensure that our data validation should be completed fastly. For example, if you generate lines of SQL code, the time taken by the application is really high. And by the time if your system hangs up, and by the time if your internet or some other things or some other X things are going on really bad, that would actually lead you to validate again. You have to run the query. Now, one of the tasks which have been given by one of our leaders is that try to remodify the SQL so that can run faster. Now, remodifying the SQL is not just a day job. You have to check what kind of query commands which have been written. Where can we actually, you cannot erase the data, but you have to reduce the code, is the challenge. These are the real world applications actually. Now, when you reduce the kind of complexity, for example, when there are some commands in SQL where that is not suggestible to use. For example, having command. Why don't you use what is the other command which you can use apart from the having?
Yeah.
Clauses can be helpful. Questions cannot be helpful. See, we have something like the English language is the basic language for all the SQL, right? For example, finding a person where he is more better than having all the persons and finding it is more difficult. Having the database it comes like that. No, the challenge is you have to reduce the code. You have to remodify and you have to rerun the code that has to be acceptable by the developers and the other people, ensuring that there is no data loss, there is no missing item. For example, if there are 15,000 rows in the earlier code, the new code should also have 15,000 rows, but the time of validation should be reduced. Even 5 seconds count to me. Those are the challenges. Now, when you try to run a script like that, for any kind of transformable applications, it's more important that how do you optimize the code. Writing a code is not the greatest achievement. Optimizing the code is an achievement where you call them as an expertise. Now, any kind of an application in React or Angular or any subject, building an application is never a challenge at all. For example, if you ask me, right, 3 of you people can build a chat application within 2 minutes of time. But do you have the enough data where the chatbot can really interact? We are talking about two segments. One is chat, which can be done by the human from the other end. One is the bot, which has to be interacted by itself. Now, what kind of an applications where you can choose? For example, imagine that I am a counselor in your college and there are new admissions going on. Imagine that there is no MSET, there is no ISET and other examinations at all. But this is a very good college where people can come in. I am a counselor where I can note it and I imagine that there are 20 people standing in the queue and it takes minimum 2 minutes to note down their details. There's a regular phenomenon which happens in hospitals and everywhere, right? How faster you ease that application is the one thing which you can actually a problem solver. Imagine that I have given a paper, instead of M, you assume that it's N. Instead of Madhu, if you say Madhu, which means that my record has been actually duplicated or incorrect. Now, how do you optimize it is always the biggest challenge. For that only you are trying to build an application. That's the reason you can see some of the hospitals which came into a tabular form where they will say, okay, what is your name, and only the mandatory fields have been noted. Not that your address, not that, okay, you give your date of birth, that's it, your name, date of birth and address, that's it. Those 3 are the mandatory fields. Now, what about my medical rules or what about my health issue? That will be taken care by the doctor, not by them. They would, okay, whom do you like to meet? Okay, if other case, I don't know whom do I like to meet, but I have a fever. Then okay, go to general physician, some X person is available. No sir, I would like to go to a psychiatrist. Then you have a right to the application. Now all these applications which you are trying to do is, right, one of those things is that the transformation within the internal team is a challenge, the building the application where you try to optimize the code itself is a challenge. Clear? Or confused? A single tool is required for testing complete project in Angular. More than one tool is required for a testing to complete in a React. Agree? It's still a biased route where you actually cannot come to a conclusion right away. Agree? Is that clear? Do you have confusions over here? Yeah. No, this. Okay, sorry. Top forms using React. Of course, Facebook, which has been built up, followed by its own WhatsApp and other applications. Right? Now, how can we identify the source code is more or less we can go to the back end of the code. We cannot re-engineer it, but we can know that how that has been built by control of my application. Now, here comes the two particular projects where I found that would be really helpful for you. So, in this project, if I can open the link, the best part about this particular website is that, trust me, you can build it in no time. All you have to do is that you have to have this mandatory form. And apart from that, the best part is it has given all the clear instructions that how to build it from the scratch, what are the simple examples where you can actually check with the ReactJS application. And how can you actually process the chatting in. Now, this is yet a simple application, then how to do a complex application. I would say that in other words, if you build a simple application on a complex level, try to change the code and try to change the kind of data of the application. The application itself, you are trying to make it complex so that the ease of doing the particular language will be more easier for you. In other words, I would say that this is a scenario-based understanding of a ReactJS. The link was pretty much clear, straightforward, and you can actually see the interface and everything, and the end result something looks like this. Interesting? Or it's a small application. Did you build something like that probably? Or someone who is working in ReactJS? Oh, that's fine. How is it? I mean, is it looking really simple or a complex one? We don't know unless and until we test it. No, it's pretty much simple. I would say that, see, it took say less than 35 minutes, including my office work with my other laptop. Not more than that. The documentation in this particular website, I wrote it. You need not search for rocket sciences, you need not search for other applications. This was pretty much good. But yes, that can be biased because that's my easy level of understanding. For example, there might be ample amount of ReactJS notes and other tutorials where your tutorial is not equal to my tutorial. Your understanding is not equal to my understanding. If you would like to do something via here, if you have a laptop, you can right away implement it. It would take less than 15 minutes of time. And there is one more link as well. I would say that this is a semi-advanced way. If you like to try it on a beginner level, on an initial level, go for it. Go for the previous one. And this one again is a simpler, but I don't want to suggest you to go on a one shot. better try to implement the simplest ones, easier to let, ensure that you are getting enough idea on it, and then go for it. All these things are doing is nothing but giving a simple chatbot application where you can build from the React. Import from React, everything looks simple and easy. Now, let's come to one other point. Now, I believe there are a lot of processes as well going on here. Right? I mean, there are processes. Now, one of those things which I like to talk about is that ReactJS, AngularJS, as I was saying, the important thing in terms of the React Angular are that we need a lot of people in terms of building the applications. In fact, we in the sense the industry. Now, what does the industry needs? Industry needs a kind of a people who can build any kind of a rapid application within less time frame, and that's the reason we have demand for professionals, interns, experience, all the people. If you just Google it on Naukri, now just go to naukri.com and say ReactJS, AngularJS, you have from 0 to 10 years experience, all the people. Now, why there is a demand? Because there is a need for the customers and the clients, because at the end they are actually giving to us in another way where you are trying to build a chat applications. Now, one of the things which I was trying to speak to your HODs or other people is that you have to include this in a curriculum. Curriculum in the sense, how to build a chatbot, starting from the fundamentals of the complete. See, there will be definitely jobs like around the full stack applications, the full stack implementation of all these applications, not only in terms of the web development but also the chat development, and the bots are raising like anything. The interactive bots is the hottest cake in the market. No, the curriculum where you are trying to plan is actually should be designed in such a way that it should be both syllabus and scenario based. In other words, to simplify it, I would say that take one particular scenario as in college application and just go with the fundamentals of the JavaScript and other the languages which have been there. And that's where you can actually get into the application within the 20th hour itself. Less than 20 hours, I would say. So the curriculum and also it should also include the AI fundamentals on how can you actually interact or how can you actually create the interactive applications. Is that clear? Now let me go ahead with the questionnaire. So any kind of a questionnaire in this, if you would like to ask anything or any kind of an improvements, what are the questions which you have in terms of these particular applications? I would be happy to answer. The application source pretty much clear. You have every document in it. No doubt in it. These links are not. I mean, that gives the pretty much answer, a clear answer. So let me know what are the questions which you have, because it's not that one session which I try to touch the root holes of the complete application which have been there. Why that has been helpful. It's more as like a discussion which I am doing from say past 1 hour. Now I'd like to know more about what exactly you are trying to do with these applications or any other progress for your students or something like that. Will that be helpful if we create a combined say course for this ReactJS which should involve the industry as well as the institutional based applications? Any questions? Anything you'd like to share? That would be great.
No, the same chat application, can we able to do it with ReactJS now with hands-on?
We can. In fact, one of the other plan is that to come again in terms of the other applications which have been also been used. Right? This has been actually very short thing, and I try to make it at the ground level at the simplest as possible. So yes, that can be possible. And that has to be taken in the lab, or else the laptops over here, what other things are. so that a lot of people can that was pretty much straightforward. It's not that I'm just giving a link, I have tested the link. Unfortunately, there are a few things which didn't work due to the bad power or other things, but still I was able to manage it. Any questions? Any questions from you, sir? Is the session boring or interesting? Bad, good? Okay? Average? Any kind of a question, please. I'm not here to judge anyone, but yes, let's be more interactive. And what are the other fields where you like to be more keen on it, leave React for a while? In any other space, for example. I'm always mad at analytics, for example. I'm mad at analytics in such a way that I thought of naming my baby as an analytics. Seriously. I mean, I have my wife as a proof actually. So there was a point, the muhurta time is at 10, around like 10:32, we haven't fixed the name. And I was seriously saying that I want Abbai Purte analytics, Ammai Purte analytica. Yeah, seriously. And the only one reason you should have asked me why was that. I want to become a father of analytics. I just want to become a father of analytics. And how can you become a father of anything? Name your baby with your punishment. Seriously. So for me, if you ask me if there is any subject, any term, పాము ఎక్కడో ఇలా ఊరితే వచ్చేస్తుంది ఆ టైప్ అనమాట. ఏ అంటే అంత పిచ్చి నాకు. Everything and anything. If you ask me what exactly is my name is 01100011100 because we are living in the binary world. 0 and 1 are the only two numbers which are like. Rest all are the incorporations of those numbers. And technology wise kuda ade proof. Encryption, decryption and kuda mana A ante A la right? So the way I know the subject is that I have written in my articles. ఏదో మీకు సాటిస్ఫై చేయడానికి నేను ప్రూఫ్ చెప్పట్లేదు. మీ ఎన్ని నేమ్స్ సెర్చ్ చేసామో మా వైఫ్ ఉంది ప్రూఫ్ యాక్చువల్లీ. ఓకే, షీ ఈజ్ మై వైఫ్. So she is my wife. The punishable offense, I would say that. And she has a very good stories. I would say that first time, in fact, I had taken her my permission on my honeymoon trip. అంటే తనకి అడిగారు పర్మిషన్ కూడా యాక్చువల్లీ. మేము ఊటీ వెళ్ళి అక్కడ మున్నార్ వెళ్ళి I had to book the return ticket. I had booked the return ticket and she was just 18 days old after marriage due to all the traditions and 16 days for my something whatever. And then I came to Aluvai railway station, asked her to take a general ticket. First time of a kind of an expression. And Garib Rath train వచ్చింది. We sit in Kochivel to Yeshwanthpur Garib Rath Express. Now, so let's sit in this particular seat and this will be our seat. TT వచ్చారు అదే seat sir. And we have been to Yeshwanthpur. And then even in the evening go to character reservation and take to Hyderabad. What was going on? Still, she was in a point of confusion mode actually. And my only answer is that I have read in the news that there is a Kochivel to Yeshwanthpur Express which will be launched. Any kind of a train or any kind of a new train, especially in Indian systems, if that is not launched in the festival season, the train will be mostly vacant. ఎందుకంటే ఆ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ తెలియడానికి టైం పడుతుంది. మేము మొన్న వెళ్ళే టైం అప్పుడు ఆ కోచివేల్ యశ్వంత్పూర్ ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ వాజ్ న్యూలీ లాంచ్డ్. నో వై ఐ డెంట్ బుక్ ద రిటర్న్ రిజర్వేషన్? The only thing is that I don't know how many days I'll spend in Munnar. I have liberty to take my holidays. All these are happening because I have some data in my hand. This is my real world application. In fact, if you like to read, right, I can open my. Seriously. And to link it, I would strongly say that any kind of an application in the world is directly connected to analytics. Okay, leave it about the particular book. For example, the one which I am trying to say is right. So to name my baby, right? This is one of the things. See, I want to become a father of analytics, and the only way I do is name my baby as analytics. In public article between me the artifact actually. So everything, I mean, the way I look about the data is, I mean, the best part about me is that I try to make any kind of a complex subject in the world grounded if I master it. And even, see, even how to select a school code in the article. My weird analysis on choosing the right school. Yes. An unplanned calculated journey is better. And the reason is that, see, being a family member, though she is like around 10 days or 15 days old, I am like a guard for anyone. If I am a guard, which means that I have to have the data. The only guard or the guard where you can say that you can do something, you have to have the data in the hand. If I don't have data in the hand, then I cannot do anything. Then you might assume that if I am coming to this classroom, what is my expectation and how can you predict it? To be frank, in this classroom when I attended it, right, when I started working over here, I came with a zero mindset where I tried to make this session as grounded as easy. It might look generic to some point because there is a lot of other document. First of all, why do you need a external guest or external professor to train someone? Because everything was globally available everywhere, right? Why do you need someone? You need someone where he can or she can, where they can say the real-time examples. Or else you have lakhs of very good videos in YouTube where you can get the ample amount of information. That's the reason I clearly mentioned the links which have been applicable. Yeah, yes, there will be one day, maybe on Monday or Tuesday or some other day, where we will do entirely a live platform where there are no generic examples or generic discussion where you will be building a live thing only, nothing else. But this being my first ReactJS in this particular Saturday, and I don't want this Saturday to be a boring Saturday, to be more engaging Saturday. Not just having a fun, but to know more information. And I mean, these are some of the examples. In fact, if you can reach to me, you can follow me in this. There are very good examples on how to understand. See, there is one example which many people loved it actually. Is how to understand the data science using a very good simple example, umbrella. Sir, umbrella ki data science ki sambandham enti sir? A sambandhaన్ని create చేసాను ఇక్కడ. I tried to mention a particular link. I have divided my umbrella into 3 steps. One is the data science which covers the whole. One is artificial intelligence which covers which is a hook of it, which is a stick of it. Now, what can be the hook? Can be a machine learning program. And a lot of people has a confusion that AI is equal to ML, ML is equal to AI. First of all, and everyone says that AI is subset of ML. But why is the subject? Why is that subset? Subset because you cannot prove. For example, this being a pen, and I want to make this pen as an intelligent pen. This is an artificial system. So what is an intelligent pen? I don't see any kind of a refill mark or a refill which has been filling out, and I don't know how much it is writing. Now I need to train this pen in such a way that this pen should be used in multiple colleges, and they should understand that what is my workflow, what is my writing style and everything, so that this will give an indication that to choose the other rifle right away, or else to write, do not stress my fingers, kind of an application which would be helpful for me. Now, I'm just talking about a small pen, it's just a small pen, marker in other words. Now imagine that if this solution is helpful for a lot of people, then this is a product. We are building the products, we are not here to just go ahead with the kind of technology terminologies. You can talk about anything, but if that is not helpful for the common human being, which means that you are building something for nothing. And that's the reason I have tried to ground this particular example in such a way that anyone in the world can understand. Starting from 6 years, you might have 6 years kids, to the 66 years people. I don't want to disturb more than that actually. Clear? Any questions? Is that interesting or boring?
We want actually ReactJS applications to develop.
We'll develop it for sure. At any case, we'll develop. Give me a base time, I would say that. So mostly by Monday. That I would recommend it in a lab based. So let's go on a lab based. And yes, I'm pretty much open for it. No worries, ma'am. I'll ensure that my promise is fully fulfilled. But to give a ground level understanding whether, yes, to some of the people it might look both, to some of the people it might look too generic. But I strongly feel that the fundamental level of knowledge should be indulged in such a way that the external knowledge can be grown up in a faster way. Don't take me wrong in this case. Is it clear? Any questions? Any questions or anything? No worries. It's an open session for you for next 10 minutes. Anything you'd like to share to me? Would be happy for it. Let's collect a kind of, before we will implement it, right? My recommendation is that if we can collect any kind of a database, which is, let's say, imagine that if your whole college database is there, we'll try to create a real life application instead of portraying the real life applications. So I believe that can be achievable within an hour of time, where the admin or the other counselors will have the bunch of Excel files with them. So that's where I'll send a couple of information where this is needed and get ready with the systems being installed with each and everything. Let's do a live example. Within an hour we can actually complete it.
Okay, we can do a chatbot application for this college itself. And we will give first initially for the department the data and what fields we require to get up that application. So you can mention that.
The needed information in the first link has been already there. Those are only the 4 major things.
And we require basically that either Bootstrap, can you just explain about Bootstrap or ReactJS? Because we are trying to learn the ReactJS. So, and particularly what we have given the application, 3 applications, we have to develop.
Sure. What do you want? And also the scale-up modeling and everything what you have been mentioned.
Yes.
Staff modeling.
Yes.
And also the file-based one.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Those are things, suppose, can you able to share the knowledge, the basic knowledge, what we require for those projects to develop? If we able to provide that knowledge.
See, let's go in this way, ma'am. I mean, I'm not here to change anything which you have been there. Let's go in this way. Let's actually build a chatbot which can be helpful. Let's go on a step by step basis. Let's build a chatbot which can be interactable. At least set up it, because you cannot see the result on the day one. That would actually take some time to get learn itself, because the ultimate aim of the chatbot is to learn. You should be able to understand what are the comments which have been given. For example, it's more or less again, all our life is dependent on the kind of a query which you put. For example, I need the balance is different. I need to check one of my bank's balance is different. There are 2 questions. For example, how to learn a data science is a generic question. I am a civil engineer, and how to learn a data science is a generic question, genuine question. Now the query mechanism always runs on the kind of keywords which you put in. Now bots and everything has to be trained in such a way that has to be qualified enough that whatever the instructions which it will has to be qualified. I'll send a detailed email that these are the things and these are the applications. Meanwhile, if I can get the basic information of your college without revealing the contact numbers and other things, we will try to video it and we will do it as well. Make sense? Understand that Monday to Friday is also my working days, so don't mind about that.
Sir, you want now at present lab so that I will try to arrange the lab also. So are you able to do it?
Can we get the information later or what is it?
Information we will take some dummy data, so that actually see whatever knowledge we are going to learn today, so it should be utilized for our students.
Got it, got it. Can we do it on Monday or something? Is it okay?
Monday, are you ready to come?
In the first 2 hours? Oh, Monday, Tuesdays. Monday there is a baby issue. We'll try to manage on one weekday. Because my office goes on from 1 to 1 p.m. Let's make it in 1 hour, 1-2 hours, and we'll make it possible. I'm sorry if I'm ignoring your request, but this will be a time day for multiple things. Any questions? In picture?
Dark, light petal.
We will definitely do it, ma'am. Any questions? Any questions or anything like to share? To me? And can you call?
Huh?
Can you call? Sirs.
Munda sir.
Yes. Analytica?
Cute.
Analytica?
No, yeah.
No, Analytica or Analytics?
Analytica. Not my window, actually.
Sir, and sir, pass break is some pass break.
Yeah, I mean, break into one another. Bueno. ¿Verdad?
No, stop. How's the session? Is the session boring? Or good? It's good? What is the break time and the lunch time? 12 minutes.
12:30.
12:30. So you can YouTube session also, sir. Is it live going on?
Sir, afternoon కూడా ఉందా సార్?
Not today, sir.
Only one session.
Live after session breakable.
Stop. Pause.